things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner, is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner, is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion? I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Ripon Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Ripon Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Multiverse broadcasting system initiated.
Hello.
Lasers.
Multiverse connection established.
Lasers.
Hello.
Multiverse connection secure.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
This is My Life DIY, and
Hi, this is JoJo.
Hi, my name is Ash.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Ripon Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to Dark Wolf's Den.
The Dark Wolf's Den Show on Ripon Common Sense Radio.
Are ghosts real?
We had 1,000 hours of continuous communication with the spirit world.
Does time travel actually exist?
The laws of physics seem to be compatible with time machines.
You know, sometimes I wonder about reincarnation. Don't you?
A 4-year-old boy in Adelaide, Australia, has told his parents that he used to be Britain's Princess Diana.
What would happen if the world found out that aliens were real?
I didn't say disclosure would be easy, but what is the alternative?
To establish a space force as the 6th branch of the armed forces.
We have so many questions and yet so little time, so to have you here, the pleasure is all mine.
Coming to you from a secret cave, hidden deep within the wilderness. This is the Dark Wolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we are broadcasting live across the multiverse from a secret cave hidden deep within the wilderness of Tennessee. That's right. We're ripping through the electromagnetic soup, tearing through the atmosphere, and tunneling away into your radio like a quantum particle. This is the Dark Wolf's Den Show for Wednesday, September the 1st, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are carrying on our State of Mystery series with the great state of Georgia. That's right. It's a lot of paranormal down there, from cryptids to ghosts and UFOs and much, much more. And we're going to dig into all that fun here in just a moment. But first, quick shout out to everyone over in the YouTube chat rooms. For those that are listening worldwide on your radios, if you'd like to join a group of us over here discussing the topics as we go along, we have 2 chat rooms going. We have the Dark Wolf's Den Show chat over there, as well as the Ripon Rabbit Hole YouTube chat also. So either one of those channels are open as long as we are on the air. So yeah, I'd like to go ahead and give a quick shout out to everybody who has joined us over there in those YouTube chat rooms. Like Michael Fontaine, first in the chat room tonight. Not only first in the chat room, but the first in both chat rooms tonight. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. As well as Sandy B, X Jen. We got, who else we got scrolling down here? We got... XGen, by the way, is XGen's birthday. He said he thought he'd never make it today to 40. Happy birthday, XGen, coming by every week, hanging out with us. Champion Sports Nation in the house. Champion Sports Nation says, hashtag Hotlanta. I've been down through Hotlanta a few times. Not a bad place overall. Man, Danny Mall, great to have you here. Got Georgia on my mind. Love some Ray Charles, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that some amazing stuff there? As well as Safe Moon Juan. Shout out Safe Moon Juan over there. Glad to see you, my friend. That is over in the Ripon Rabbit Hole chat room. Over in the Dark Wolf's Den Show chat room. Michael Fontaine says, I have to go back to Georgia and finish my tan I got back in 2015. It may be a little worn off by now. You might have to start over with a new tan for that one, right? Sandy B said, I'm hopping over here from the Ripon Rabbit Hole channel. Welcome, Sandy B, over here from Ripon Rabbit Hole. Terry Taggart, hey Terry, great to have you here. JoJo's in the house, modding for us over there on the Dark Wolf's Den Show channel. We very much appreciate that. JoJo's waving in, great to see ya. Deranged Lunatic, aka DL, says, hello Dark Wolf. Hello Deranged, glad to have you here, my friend. And it's so awesome to have every last one of you guys with us, whether you are over there in the YouTube chat rooms or listening once again around the world. We're absolutely honored to have you on board. But before we get this ride really cranked up and going, we've got 2 more fun little things to get out of the way. Like our next segment here, a segment that we call Today in History. I found a really great one here for sports fans today, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out. On this day in 1987, the Great Potato Incident occurred. What was the Great Potato Incident? Well, probably one of the funniest incidents in all of minor league baseball. Minor league Williamsport Bills catcher Dave Bresnahan attempts to lure an opposing base runner off third base using a potato carved like a baseball. The umpire calls the runner safe, and the catcher is fined $50 and then released by the team. You got to give it to him for innovation, though. It's pretty slick to take a potato and take the time to carve this thing like a baseball in order to try to trick the guy off the base. I'm not sure there was any rules against that at the time. I'm pretty sure because of this incident, there probably is now. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that happened on this day in 1987. And that is today's Today in History. And once again, it's one of those things where you don't know whether to be mad about the deception or just proud because that was incredibly innovative, right? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of innovative, that brings us to our next segment of the night, a segment we call
Say What?
And as you guys know, one of the innovative things that some states do is having what's called a state slogan, right? And the state slogan, or one of the state slogans of Georgia, I really like this one myself, says, and I quote, "Georgia, we put the fun in fundamental extremism," end quote. Once again, that is one of the many great slogans of Georgia. Stay peachy.
Say what?
I know, that was cheesy. But you gotta love Georgia. And speaking of Georgia, that is of course our state of mystery tonight, if you're just now tuning in. Our state of mystery for our paranormal investigations is of course every week we start out with the cryptids of the state, and Georgia has its fair share of cryptid creatures. Just ask Ben Miller, our speaker starting out this evening. Of course, we use his work here a lot. Huge shout out to the Ben Miller YouTube channel. Definitely go over there, guys. Give him a like. I really enjoy his work. As you can tell, he's done a lot of great work on cryptids, like once again in Georgia tonight.
There is said to be a beastly creature that makes its home around Snodgrass Hill, and has done so for many years. It is simply known as Old Green Eyes, and by all descriptions it is said to be akin to the beings known as ghouls. It is rather tall, has long hair, glowing green eyes, a large deformed jaw, and it has many sharp fangs.
This is definitely a creature I would not like to run into in the wild.
Even though it is said to have existed way before the first European settlers, the first sightings of it didn't start making its rounds until after the Civil War.
This is the part that makes this creature incredibly creepy.
After the bloody Battle of Chickamauga, which was said to have the second highest in casualties outside of Gettysburg, reports of this being started to emerge. Much like other descriptions of ghouls, it was seen walking around the bodies of dead soldiers in the fields. In many cases, it was making a meal out of the fresh corpses. It is actually thought that the bloodshed and availability of easy prey is what brought the creature out of hiding.
Which means whatever type of creature this is, it is definitely a scavenger type of cryptid.
Sightings of this being weren't uncommon, and even 2 separate accidents in the 1970s were blamed on this creature. The reason behind this is that both drivers crashed their cars when they spotted something very large standing on the road and stated its eyes were glowing an eerie green color. As a note, I have seen 2 variations of the following encounter, so as the saying goes, take it with a grain of salt.
Or put in better terms, do your own research. Don't take any one story for truth. Including anything I present here. Definitely go do your own research and verify everything for yourself. once again, I'm not telling you to believe or disbelieve anything. I just present the information for your listening pleasure.
In 1976, a park ranger and historian from the Chickamauga-Chattanooga National Military Park named Edward Tinney was walking around the park at 4 a.m. when he suddenly felt a chill rush over his body. At the very same moment, he saw a tall creature step out of the darkness and it had green eyes. According to him, he stated that the being simply walked past him and it had long black hair like a woman, long pointed fangs, and its eyes were unforgettable since they glared a greenish-orange color. The being vanished from sight when a vehicle approached the ranger. As noted, I have seen other reports that were similar from this man, but in those he claimed it might have been a ghost and appeared very human-like. So, take it for what it is.
Well, once again, we have multiple reports of pretty well the exact same creature, or the same type of creature at the very least, being reported from way before Europeans were here, and after the Civil War battles, and then in random still sightings and reportings of what sounds like the same description of these creatures. So although there may be small variation, I would definitely say there's probably the same creature here, same type of creature anyway. So since this is what seems to be a controversial cryptid so far, let me go ahead and throw the question to you guys. What do you guys think so far? Do you think this could be misidentification of other creatures and a little bit of mass panic and mass delusion? Or could it possibly be that these creatures are real? One in the chat room if you think it is absolutely a real cryptid creature. 2 in the chat room if you think it's just a misidentification. And 3 in the chat room if you don't think we've got enough information just yet.
A woman named Denise Smith from Fort Oglethorpe claimed that in 1980 she had just finished her night shift at the Crystal Restaurant and decided to take a shortcut through the park on her way home. That night it was really foggy out, so she decided to drive slow and steady. As she neared Wilder Tower, the headlights illuminated a large creature standing on the road, and it had enormous green eyes. Due to the fog, she didn't get a good look at the creature's body, but as her car neared, it simply vanished. From what I have gathered, if these stories are true, this being isn't violent and would be considered more of a scavenger, although it will feast on a human body if given a chance.
So what are you guys saying over there in the chat? Remember, 1 if you think it is real, 2 if you think it's a possible hoax or misidentification, and 3 if you're just unsure. What are you guys saying over here? Man, Danny Mall says 1, maybe 2. So real, maybe a hoax, but possibly real. Terry Taggart on the fence with the 3. It's not quite sure. We may not have enough information just yet. Errol Taylor, glad to have you here tonight. We appreciate you hanging out with us and stopping on by. But let's go ahead and get into our next cryptid here. You guys might remember something like this in the states out west. This is a surprising find in this part of the country. The first one we've heard of this type on this side of the country, as a matter of fact.
There is only one recorded sighting, but it is known as the Georgia Raptor.
You heard that right, ladies and gentlemen, the Georgia Raptor.
On July 25, 2008, an 18-year-old man and his grandfather decided to spend time together by taking a nature walk at 3 p.m. They walked for a while, intent on visiting a rocky area that was previously known to have quite a few deer present. Once there, the pair stayed motionless, hoping to see something, all the while listening to the sounds of nature. Not long after this, they heard an odd, indescribable sound emanating from the forest, followed by heavy footsteps. As they watched, they saw a really strange creature emerge from the tree line about 150 yards from them. They described it as something that looked like a raptor from the Jurassic Park movies. It was about 5 feet tall at its shoulders, had a long stiff tail, walked on its 2 muscular hind legs, it had 2 short arms, and both limbs had prominent sharp claws. To tie with the movie, it also had the sickle-shaped claw on its feet. Both men stayed absolutely still, since they assumed it could run fast due to the musculature of its legs, and it appeared capable of harming them. As they watched, it lifted its head and sniffed the air for a while, then made another sound and ran off into the bushes. The men stayed put, wanting to give the creature more time to move on. Eventually, they decided to return to their truck and head home. From that moment on, the man now states that he is convinced that there are creatures out there that science has yet to identify.
Sometimes it takes having an experience like that to open your mind enough to the idea that science doesn't quite have it all figured out, or nearly any of it, truthfully.
Now, with this encounter story, I have seen a lot of skeptics have issues with the raptor from Jurassic Park portion of the story.
Which, honestly enough, that is a fair argument. I'll give them that.
I've seen this issue as well when talking about pterodon versions of cryptids. While this would be easy to discredit, I do have to say that none of the eyewitnesses claim that the creature they saw was a pterodon or raptor.
And that is an incredibly important point right there. They never said it was a raptor specifically.
They simply say it looks like one, and normally that is the easiest description to make. If I say I saw something that looks like a raptor from Jurassic Park without describing anything else of the event, you automatically know what the creature looked like. I am not saying I know the previous encounter was real, I'm just saying I won't rule it out simply due to the raptor statement.
And once again, if you have been along on this journey with us across the paranormal states of the USA, you would know that we've covered a variety of states, even thus far in the alphabet, that have had raptor or dinosaur type cryptids of different varieties. So it's not that much out of the question, or really hard to open your mind, at least not for this audience, I'm sure, to the idea that there may be a sort of creature that resembles something like that, even in the South. And I like how we put, it's not necessarily saying that raptors are 100% real, it's just the closest relation to whatever they were able to spot. But what do you guys think? Once again, a controversial cryptid, most assuredly. Do you guys think that the dinosaurs may very well be real, now that we've seen a large variety of these creatures across different states? Or, once again, could it be a misidentification? Number one, if you think it's real, over in the chat room over there, both the Dark Wolf's Den Show and Ripon Rabbit Hole chat, go ahead, put a 1 if you think it's a real phenomena, these dinosaurs actually still existing. Go ahead, put a 2 if you think it is a misidentification of a creature, and go ahead and put a 3 if, once again, you're just not quite sure if the dinosaurs could exist one way or the other today. And we'll wait on you guys to go ahead and put their answers in the chat room. And while we're waiting, we'll go ahead and start on the next cryptid creature.
The next cryptid on our travels would be found in the Winder area. It appears to be a mix between local legend and real sightings. The creature is called a wog, and it was said to be seen hanging around a boggy pond that was given the name Nodarok. This being was said to have long jet black hair, was the size of a small horse, and had a head like a bear and the body of a wolf.
And that's not the only crazy type of wolf creature we're going to talk about this weekend. Stay tuned. But speaking of staying tuned, let's see what everybody tuned in over on YouTube said about the dinosaurs. Remember, 1 for real, 2 for fake, 3 if you're unsure. And it looks like we got Mandani Mull with the 1 over here. We have, he says, yes, definitely dinosaurs are real. We've heard about them quite a bit during these series. Safe Moon 1 with the 2. No, it's a fake. It's a fake. Can't believe in the dinosaurs still being real. Science is the pinnacle of all human existence, says Mandani Mull. It always knows the truth. Well, science, yes. True science, I will agree. Scientism, as we know on this channel, scientism, not so much, but science, absolutely. Safe Moon wants it, my bad. I got confused on what the number system was. I do believe dinosaurs are real. He says 1. Over here in the Dark Wolf's Den Show chat room, We got 111 from JoJo's with a couple dinosaurs roaring over there. Looks like she says absolutely dinosaurs are real. Sandy B over in the Ripon Rabbit Hole chat, real dinos are absolutely. Terry Taggart, only one sighting? Yes, ma'am, only one sighting in that particular state. Michael Fontaine says possibly someone in a costume. Well, possibly. And getting back to the cryptid we were just talking about, remember it is a wolf crossed with a bear.
Its front legs were 12 inches longer than the back ones. It had red eyes, a long pink tongue that ended in a fork, and its large tail had long white bristles at the end. It was said to constantly wag the tail in a side-to-side motion.
That sounds like a very strange version of a Georgia werewolf.
And from time to time, it would slam it on the ground, making a distinct whizzing sound that could be heard for quite a distance. Many claim that this beast actually protected the Nodorok and would sweep anyone who neared it into the water with its powerful tail. Most legends claim that it was said to not be dangerous as long as a person didn't mess with it. Even with this said, there are many reports of it frequently visiting the nearby villages and causing trouble. In some stories, just the mere sight of it could kill animals from fear alone. In one sighting I found, a family known as the Drapers saw the creature emerge from the forest one night. They originally thought it was simply a wolf until they saw the distinct white tail and heard the whizzing sound. At first, the father of the family wanted to shoot the creature, and in his words he said he would send a leaden messenger clean through any part of its body or plug one of its fiery eyes.
And of course that sounds like it would definitely do the trick, right?
However, he thought better of this when he remembered that legend stated that the creature was unaffected by bullets.
Well, so much for that idea.
The family retreated to their cabin and barred the door. They heard the Wogs start walking around their home, all the while making the same sound with its tail. At one point, it found a crack in one of the logs and stuck its pointed tongue through the opening.
That sounds just a little bit disgusting.
The family stayed still, and eventually the being moved on. What is interesting is that as funny as the tongue thing sounds, there are a lot of reports of it doing this same behavior at a lot of cabins of the time.
So it also sounds like it has anteater tendencies. What a strange creature indeed. And just as strange as our last cryptid of the evening.
Our last cryptid sounds very much like one of my favorites. In April of 2020, a woman from East Georgia, simply known as Julia, claimed that while she was stuck at home from work during the recent lockdown, her son would constantly have issues at bedtime, claiming that he was scared due to hearing something scratching at his window.
And of course, anyone with kids knows that kids will make up any excuse to not go to bed.
This went on for many nights, and every time he would cry out for her, she would check his room, but nothing was ever there. Then on one night, he claimed that there was a strange man looking at him through the window, but again, she found nothing. To be on the safe side, she decided to stay in his room until he fell asleep, which took until 2 o'clock in the morning. Julia left the room and decided to lay in her bed when she noticed that the motion light outside was on. She watched it for a while, but said she didn't see anything odd. Finally, she laid down, and this is when she realized that the moment the light went out, something kept triggering it to come back on.
I gotta say, I love this woman's determination here.
Julia now was convinced someone was messing with her, so she watched the light again. Only this time, to her horror, she saw a black figure that was about 4 to 5 feet tall standing in the darkness. The creature seemed to notice her, and it stepped out into the light. This is when she noticed it had 2 leathery wings on its back, it was bipedal, it had rubbery skin, and the only feature on its face she could make out was that it had human-like eyes that glowed.
It's amazing to me how many of these cryptid reports have creatures with glowing eyes.
Suddenly the creature moved forward and jumped onto the roof. At this moment, she heard it scratching as if it was trying to get in. Terrified, she grabbed her son and locked themselves into the bathroom, which didn't have any windows. As they cowered in fear, they heard it furiously scratching at the roof, the walls, and even a few times it sounded like it was slamming against the window. They stayed in the bathroom until morning, and by that time everything had returned to being quiet.
Sandy B says she needed a Ring camera. Could you imagine catching something like that on a Ring camera? That would be absolutely frightening. Although some of the best paranormal footage probably that we could ever get. Terry Taggart over in the Dark Wolf's Den show says, I would have tried to shoot it instead of trying to think rational. See, that's where I don't know how rational I would be. I like to think I would be absolutely rational in a situation like that, but when you've got a creature that's that scary, coming after you, I think rationale for a moment just goes out the window. I think temporary insanity is a better way to explain that, right? Welcome, Oiler Greg. Glad to have you here, bud.
Nervously, she grabbed her to see if the creature was gone. There was nothing in the yard, but when she looked up, she saw the same creature perched on the top of a nearby pine tree. It let out a high-pitched screeching sound that she likened to a train whistle, and it flew away quickly.
This creature sounds incredibly creepy. Could it have been a very, very, very large bat of some type? It kind of reminds me of the Mothman, of course, of West Virginia, and Georgia isn't too very far away from that area. We're seeing a lot of strange hybrid creatures in a lot of these states. The wolf bear, for instance, that we heard about earlier, as well as this bat-type creature. And the screech is what I find interesting. It wasn't like it was trying to hurt anybody or anything. It wasn't attacking. It seemed more menacing. Though it did say it was on top of the house scratching once again, it seemed like it was a more menacing creature than it was a I'm going to eat you type of creature. And once again, in the end, all you can do, guys, is listen to the case files, and make your own decisions on what you think these creatures could be. But that is all the creatures that we have tonight for the state of Georgia. There wasn't a whole lot of them, but of the ones that there were, they were incredibly interesting. And there's going to be even more interesting stuff coming up in the second half, right after these messages. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you're listening to the Dark Wolf's Den radio show, exclusively on Ripon Common Sense Radio, the Ripon Rabbit Hole. We'll be right back with the second half of the Dark Wolf's Den show in just a moment. Don't you touch that dial. That's right.
We gotta stoke the fires and run off the men in black. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, that howl means your weekend has begun. Hi everyone, it's AJ the Ripon Rabbit. Are you enjoying tonight's Dark Wolf's Den radio show? I know I am. If you are and you haven't done so already, please make sure to thumb up that video, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell. You'll get our notifications every time we go live. We're here every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, bringing you the very best of common sense radio, the Ripon Rabbit Hole. Jerry Hicks and the Dark Wolf's Den show will return again tomorrow night, Thursday, September 2nd, with a look at Bear Illa. Something seems like a cross between a bear and a gorilla, perhaps. It no doubt is going to be a wild evening. All shows start at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, so join Jerry again tomorrow night, Thursday, September 2nd. Then I'll be back Friday, September 3rd, with a look at Baba Vanga. Come along with me and dive deep down the rabbit hole of a very unique individual who is known as Baba Vanga, and she was a Bulgarian mystic, clairvoyant, and her story truly is a remarkable one. Again, that's Friday night, September 3rd. Then Saturday night, come along with me as we explore the new craze of NFT digital art. We're going to look at art like you've never seen it before. A totally new way of collecting art. You won't want to miss it. That's going to be Saturday, September 4th. And then our monthly installment of Beat Eugene, our interactive family game show, comprised of riddles, challenges, will take to the airwaves and end out the weekend right together with you. Sunday night, September 5th, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Will you beat Eugene, or perhaps will he beat you? Beat Eugene 3 happens the first Sunday of every month. I can tell you, it was Sandy B standing on that podium last month alongside Eric the Fred in second place and Earth Daughter in third place. Will these perhaps be the same people that will beat Eugene, or perhaps will it be you? Tune in Sunday night and find out. And then a little extra bonus to the first week of every month. Your weekend's going to last a little longer because Tuesday night videos, that's right, September 7th, join host Champion Sports Nation in the exclusive Backstage 24/7 lounge for Tuesday night videos focusing this month on back to school, exclusively in the Backstage 24/7 VIP lounge at riponrabbithole.com. That's a look at your live weekend ahead. Now back to Jerry Hicks and the Dark Wolf's Den for State of Mystery, Georgia. You're listening to the Ripon Common Sense Radio Network, the Ripon Rabbit Hole.
Reestablishing multiverse connection. Connection reestablished and secure.
This is My Life DIY, and
Hi, this is JoJo.
Hi, my name is Oz.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Ripon Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to Dark Wolf's Den.
The Dark Wolf's Den Show on Ripon Common Sense Radio.
If you were meant to be controlled, you would have come with a remote, but you didn't. And that's why you listen to the Dark Wolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and welcome back to the second half of the Dark Wolf's Den Show for Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. Ringing in September the right way, that's right. Whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in tonight, we have been talking about the state of mystery of Georgia, of course. We have covered cryptids in the first half, and a lot of amazingly intriguing cryptids for sure, from the Wog to a number of others, and a possible another dinosaur. That's right. If you missed the first half, definitely go back and check that out. But moving forward into the second half, normally this is where I would do UFO reports for the state. And though there were a small number of UFO reports, there was a very large number of ghost reports. So many indeed, in fact, that we're just going to go ahead and do ghost reports from Georgia for the entire second half. That's right. I know that's a little odd for this series, but trust me, there are a ton. Of course, as we know, the South and Georgia in that area was a very heavily fought area during the Civil War, and there are going to be a number of Civil War ghost stories coming up, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Here is the Speakeasy with hauntings in Georgia.
Allatoona Pass Battlefield. Allatoona Pass Battlefield, the site of the Battle of Allatoona Pass, or simply Allatoona in Bartow County near Cartersville, is one of the most historically significant battlefields in Georgia, if not the entirety of the United States. Allatoona Pass was originally created as part of the Western and Atlantic Railroad line, which was founded in 1836. In 1862, the Great Locomotive Chase took place along this very stretch of track. In the chase, a raiding party of Union volunteers commandeered a train, destroying tracks on their way from Alatoona to Chattanooga, Tennessee. When the Union eventually took Atlanta in September of 1864, Confederate forces began destroying tracks as well, all whilst attacking garrisons along the rail.
And of course, as we know, it is incredibly important to know our history, especially the history of things that have happened in this particular country, just in case that information is ever needed in the future, of course. But this is leading up to a very interesting story. You know, once again, we've talked about battlefields and the trauma of battlefields being a trigger for ghostly haunting activity. And this is yet another case file that goes to that idea.
The Battle of Alatoona took place on October 5th of 1864. It marked the first major conflict to hit during the Franklin-Nashville campaign of the Civil War. As it's written, at around 7 a.m., Confederate forces arrived to the pass and began firing on anything that was wearing blue, assuming it would be an easy win. But Union forces quickly dug in, holding off the assault until around 2 in the afternoon, when reinforcements were scheduled to arrive. Confederate troops were forced to retreat, and in the end, just over 1,600 Americans were left dead or severely wounded, with numbers favoring the Union by about 200 Confederate casualties. To this day, in the area that now serves as a state park, a number of earthen formations created by the Union Army still stand as testament to their valiant defense. Memorials dot the terrain, remembrance to be given to fallen brothers from both sides. And with ground literally soaked in blood, one can only imagine the stories that have manifested from this now seemingly peaceful park over the years.
And though I know I mention it a lot when the battlefields come up, but I currently live quite close to a battlefield which has had quite a few case files given to me personally from people who have had experiences there, experiences that match what we're about to hear.
Many visitors to the battlefield report feeling a strange energy in the air, feeling on edge, uneasy. The spirit of a lone Confederate soldier believed to be someone laid to rest in an unmarked grave is often sight wandering the grounds, as if searching for something, possibly his comrades. A number of reports detail the very real sounds of a battle long concluded, including gunshots, cannon fire, explosions, and cries, multitudes of cries from the dying.
And this repetition of old battles replaying in what seems like modern times in a ghostly fashion is actually quite documented from many battlefields around the world.
On several occasions, witnesses describe watching full-scale battles whilst thinking them reenactments, until witnessing every soldier present fade into nothingness before their very eyes.
There have been other battlefield stories I've heard where, and I'm not sure if we presented them here or not, we've presented so many case files, but there's others I've heard where they asked the park manager, when is the next reenactment, and tell them they enjoyed the one they just seen, to which point the park ranger has no clue what they're talking about, as there had been nothing scheduled at the time that they seen said incident. So these once again are well documented across many battlefields, which I find very intriguing when it comes to the haunting phenomenon.
When trains were still traveling the tracks through the beginning of the 1870s, a number of accounts told of a ghostly brakeman who would often sit above trains staring down ominously. Several tried to approach him, but it's said that he'd vanish before anyone neared. Lastly, and possibly connected to sightings of the otherworldly brakeman, a number of recent reports detail the hearing of a sharp train whistle piercing the night, a lone light speeding along the historic tracks, and witnesses watching in absolute disbelief as a dark and rusted engine, seemingly void of life, chugs steadily past before disappearing into the dark.
And I wish I could collect enough stories of these ghost trains, quote unquote, to do a full show on them. I'm looking for case files like that. Those stories are usually scattered within other case files. But what do you guys think about the battleground situation, right? Do you think the battlegrounds actually have a special reason for being haunted? Whether it be a portal torn into reality because of the trauma and the death or firepower used upon a battlefield, or whatever the case may be. Go ahead, put a 1 in the chat room if you think there's definitely something big behind these battlefield haunting scenarios that we keep hearing about. Put a 2 in the chat room if you think it's just people's overactive imagination, and put a 3 in the chat room if you're not really too sure if it's ghosts or once again, overactive imagination or what it could be. You're quite on the fence. Go ahead and put a 3.
Oakland Cemetery. Oakland Cemetery is located off of Southeast Oakland Avenue in central Atlanta and eerily holds more than 70,000 bodies. Throughout its long existence, a number of ghost stories have been unearthed in Oakland. As local legend has it, the cemetery contains the remains of thousands of Civil War soldiers from both sides, many of them unidentified, their souls left to wonder. Visitors to the cemetery, especially at night, report sighting spectral soldiers drifting the grounds, chatting, even engaging in small skirmishes. And on several eerie occasions, witnesses report watching what appears to be a group of Confederate soldiers move a Union soldier to a nearby tree, hoist him onto a horse, throw a noose around his neck, and proceed to hang him. The spirit gasping for air, writhing briefly before the whole scene vanishes into nothing.
Now that is incredibly specific. That sounds more like a stone tape situation, like the replay of something that happened long ago over and over again, locked into reality or locked into the ground or wherever it's locked into. More of a stone tape situation. But let's see what you guys said about the last case over here in the YouTube chat rooms. Champion Sports Nation says 1.1. Pretty sure, sort of, kind of pretty sure, about a 99% there. Sandy, 1 for sure, Juan, 1. Earth Daughter, 1 3/4. So lots of 1s coming in over on the Ripon Rabbit Hole chat. 1 and 1/3. I'm sorry. So she's pretty darn sure, maybe about 75% sure, right? Because remember, 2 is the opposite. So if you're heading towards that 2, you're not quite as sure as you will with a solid 1, right? Is that how that works? Fun with fractions. That's right, Champion Sports Nation. That is not my strongest suit, math or fractions in the math. Over in the Dark Wolf's Den Show chat room, we got JoJo's with the 111. Terry Taggart with the 1 also, both saying absolutely. There's definitely something to this battleground phenomenon that we keep running across, right? And it's really, really interesting that we keep running across this, and not only myself, but other places we've talked about have had these battlefield reenactments and things like that happen so many times. Mandanimal says, okay, 1 too many reports to be fake. There we go. So he's also with the 1, definitely too many reports to be fake. But getting back to our case file here, there have been more than just the situations we've spoke of so far that have occurred in Oakland Cemetery.
Also reported throughout Oakland are phantom gunshots, voices shouting military commands, and what sounds like ghostly roll call, heard on occasion, with some even claiming to hear their own names being called. A number of accounts report the ghost of Jasper Newton Smith rising from his ornate and unique tomb, and some claim he's watching over the ground's many bones.
That's something else I've noticed in a lot of these ghost stories are these protector ghosts, right? The ghost that interacts with the public and watches over the grounds in the general sense. That's really interesting that they've got the specific type of spirit we're finding coming up over and over again.
Lastly, several African American slaves were buried in the original yard, but were later removed from the ground and reinterred elsewhere. It's said this disturbance caused their spirits unrest, and many report extreme cold spots, strange EVPs caught accidentally in the backgrounds of recordings, and the feeling of being watched or followed, all attributed to the lost men. Their full-bodied apparitions have been sighted frequently, confused, lost, forever searching for their rightful graves.
And as we know, it is always dangerous to disrespect the dead in case of the fact that the dead may come back and make you pay a price for it. In this case, it's just a haunting, but be that as it may, it's still spirits that are definitely not able to get rest.
Christ Church Episcopal. Christ Church Episcopal is located off of Frederica Road on St. Simon's Island and boasts the reputation as the oldest church in the entirety of the state. Its cemetery holds the graves of several of the oldest and most notable families in the island's history.
And of course, being the oldest church in all the area, you know it's going to have a good ghost story, and that it does.
Over the years, a number of local legends have washed ashore St. Simon's, many concerning the aged-old chapel and its grounds. One of the more well-known legends concerning the property tells that a local woman grew terribly ill and was scared of the dark. While her husband tended her, she asked him to keep a candle lit the entire time so she wouldn't be frightened. It's said that after her passing, she was laid to rest in the cemetery. Her husband, eternally loyal, continued to bring the lit candle to her grave each night at sundown.
I gotta say, this is one of my favorite ghost stories that we have went over thus far. You'll find out why here in just a moment, but this is hands down one of the best ones I think I've found in any state we've done so far.
If you thought the poor woman was going to be the ghost, plot twist. It's actually said that shortly after the husband passed on, community members began reporting sighting small glowing lights drifting across the cemetery, thought to be his spirit fulfilling his duty to his wife. In a time where paranormal investigations were unheard of, at first neighbors thought the light was a friend of the man, continuing the tradition in his honor. But upon investigation, the light was found floating in the middle of the air, not another living soul in sight. It's said that to this day, the light is seen nearly every night, usually floating from the entrance of the cemetery and through the rows of headstones before settling at the woman's Warren grave, where it usually rests for the remainder of the night. Those who live near the church grounds report that these days the light isn't all that visible due to the number of bright security lights shining consistently around the church, but if one looks close enough, it's still there. And many walking the grounds, especially at night, report experiencing a host of activities surrounding the old chapel as well. Not textbook with the faithful old husband.
And I just absolutely love the story of the old man, of course. That is, a sweet, sweet story carrying on over into the afterlife. But apparently he's not the only spirit in the area.
Including disembodied footsteps, extreme cold spots on hot days, and even the overwhelming sensation of being watched by an unseen force.
All classic parts of a haunting case file. But what do you guys think? Do you think the state of Georgia has a lot of paranormal mystery to it, a state of mystery indeed? Or do you think once again we're barking up the wrong tree? In the end, ladies and gentlemen, all you can do is look at the evidence, apply a little common sense, and you be the judge. We got to close it out. That's right, that's it for this episode of the Dark Wolf's Den Show for Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the den may be closing, but don't you worry, the weekend fun has only just begun. That's right. Tomorrow, Thursday, September 2nd, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, we will be back with an all-new episode of the Dark Wolf's Den Radio Show, where we are going to talk about the barilla. What is a barilla? Well, it's a lot like it sounds. A creature of cryptid nature that is much like a bear crossed with a gorilla and another creature. A great story coming up tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, one that just ran across my path very recently. The story, not the cryptid, of course. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that'll be tomorrow, Thursday, September 2nd, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, right here on Ripon, Common Sense Radio Network, the Ripon Rabbit Hole. Then on Friday, September 3rd, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, our buddy AJ the Ripon Rabbit takes back to the airwaves with an all-new episode of the Ripon Rabbit Hole live show. That's right. On Friday, he's going to be talking about Baba Vanga. This is the Bulgarian mystic that has sometimes been called the female Nostradamus. Though her regular eyes couldn't see anything, her spiritual eyes saw everything. There's so much to that story, and it's an amazing story and one you do not want to miss on Friday, September 3rd, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Then on Saturday, September 4th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, our buddy AJ the Ripon Rabbit takes to the airwaves again with an episode about NFT digital art. And that's a new concept for those that are wondering. I only learned of this within the last 6 months or so myself. As more and more of our world goes digital, art is, of course, one of the forms that is going much, much more digital also. And one thing that we're finding is the insane amounts of money that these very simple digital artworks are bringing in. And I mean ridiculous amounts of money for these art. What kind of money am I talking about? What kind of art am I talking about? Well, make sure you tune in on Saturday, September the 4th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, to the Ripon Rabbit Hole live show and get the scoop on the NFTs. Then on Sunday, it's the most fun you can have on radio, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, it is the first of the month here on the Ripon Rabbit Hole. And of course, we have some things we do a little differently at the first of the month, like the Beat Eugene show. That's right, this is the third installment of Beat Eugene. That is the family-friendly game show, very, very interactive. And see if you can come in and win the trivia and see if you can beat Eugene. Last month we had Sandy B as well as Eric the Fred who beat Eugene. I unfortunately did not get enough points to beat Eugene last time, even though he didn't even play for half of the game, right? Anyways, guys, if you want a really, really fun game, as a matter of fact, the most fun you can have on radio, come on over to the Ripon Rabbit Hole on Sunday, September the 5th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, and see if you can beat Eugene. But the weekend doesn't end there, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no. As a matter of fact, next weekend starts super early on Tuesday, in the 24/7 Backstage Lounge in the RiponRabbitHole.com, where we hold the Tuesday night videos the first Tuesday of every month, hosted by our buddy Champion Sports Nation. Shout out to you, CSN. He does an amazing job hosting over there. Yours truly, Jerry the Dark Wolf, is currently the reigning champion of the Tuesday night videos, of course. And I cannot wait to see if I can hold on to this, or if Sandy B or Juanito gives me a run for my money. All that coming up on Tuesday night videos, and that's not a broadcast show. That is actually a show that is done only backstage in the Backstage Lounge, and you can get your access to that by going over to the RiponRabbitHole.com. That is RiponRabbithole.com. backstage.com. That's right. Over there, you're going to find that 24/7 Backstage Lounge. The only thing you need to do to enter is get your exclusive VIP pass. Just give us your email and information, and we do not sell your information. It is completely secure, and you will receive an email once a week, every week on Wednesday usually, that tells you all of the amazing stuff we have coming up all weekend long, and the most extended weekends in radio, the Ripon Rabbit Hole. That's right. Also, while you're over there, make sure you check out the Down the Rabbit Hole section. That is our exclusive social media site. And let me tell you, there's some cool stuff on the site. Not just Down the Rabbit Hole, but if you go over to the riponrabbithole.com, let me tell you, there's recipes galore over there. I can't tell you the times this site has saved my butt already. And if you want to talk about the different recipes, there's even groups sections where you can talk about that or the paranormal topics or whatever topic you would like to cover. That's right. All that and more over at the riponrabbithole.com. That is riponrabbithole.com. We got to get out of here tonight, folks. So on behalf of AJ the Ripon Rabbit, Chick Mandela Effect, Michael Musco, Walt House, Tom Bayless, and Red Shed Studios for the amazing music, as well as our incredible mod team over there, we thank you for being here. And remember, until next time, stay awake, but dare to dream. That's right. Good night, everybody. How? Yeah. That's right.
I'm lost and into the dark. Some things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever home. Oh, what a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner, is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion. I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Jerry the Dark Wolf here, and I would like to remind everybody that the month of September is National Preparedness Month. So it would be wise, of course, I would say, to make sure you're prepared for anything that may come down the pipeline. It is always good to have that preparation. With that public service announcement said, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.